Well, that was a little abrupt, me ending that music right there. Welcome to Music City Trop Rock, everybody, Season 2, Episode 2, where today we get to sit down with multi talented Krystal King. And you know what? We're going to go ahead and bring her on, and we're going to talk about a little bit of Trop Rock news while she's on here with us because she might have something to say about it.
Hi.
Krystal, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Yeah, multi-talented singer-songwriter, DJ extraordinaire. Do you have any other talents that we don't know about?
I can say the alphabet backwards.
You say what?
The alphabet
Oh, the
backwards.
alphabet backwards. I won't ask you to do that right now. I think I've heard you say do that somewhere now that you say that.
Actually, it's really funny. Yesterday, I was coming home from a show and there was a DUI checkpoint, and I got through it, passed. I was good, but um, as I drove away, I was like, man, I missed the opportunity to say
Right.
the alphabet backwards. Like, why did I not ask if I could do that?
Is that what you practiced it for all those years?
Yeah, yeah. No, me and my husband were just bored on a drive one time.
Wow. All right. Before we really get started, I need to mention instead of doing the whole Trot Rock News thing, I'm going to get right through this. I need to mention again that we're having the Music City Fin Fest in Nashville on August 15th through 17th. It's going to be at the outfield in the Wedgwood area. I have to announce that we do have a Facebook page now and we have Instagram page now. I don't know if we have any TikTok or anything like that. I don't do that. But I think we have a website that's going to be live Monday. So
Ooh.
be looking out for that. Go join the Facebook page and follow the Instagram page and all that stuff. And we are working on some discounts for accommodations for people that might be coming into town. We're working on some of those type of things. So I got to mention the rundown real quick. Friday there will be a VIP meet and greet party. The venue is to be determined. Um, Saturday will be the actual thing, the music festival from 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. at night. It's going to be free to the public. The lineup so far: Donnie Brewer, Tom Shepard, Beth Travers, Mark Mulch, Manalo, Aubrey Wallet. Is that how you say her last name?
I think it's wallet.
Wallet. Okay, Aubrey Wallet. Somebody named Jason AC. I don't know who that is. And Kirsty Krause and Krystal King is going to be a part of it. Sarah Bug and Jesse Pugh so far. So I think there might be one or two more slots we're working on filling.
I'm so excited we're finally doing something like this in Nashville.
I know it's been a long time coming. We've been talking
Yep.
about it, with the Music City Fins for a couple of years now, just trying to figure this whole thing out.
Hmm.
Uh, Nashville is such a weird place to have a music festival like that, but because you can go to any corner and hear
There's music everywhere.
world class music, so it's kind of hard to bring people into a festival. But we think we're going to have support from the other, parrot head organizations around that are going to come in and
Wonderful.
support it. And since it's a free event, um, it's probably going to, expose some people to trop rock and this whole genre that have never heard of it or, didn't even know it existed. So that's what we're hoping
Yeah.
for. Create some new fans, and bring those people into it. So
Yeah.
let's
I think it's gonna be great.
I'm looking forward to it. Let's talk about your new album, Pretty Poison.
Yes.
So tell us about this project.
Oh, it's been a long time coming. I've been, working on it for like the whole process has been like 4 years long, since the idea came to when we started recording it. And I started releasing singles over a year ago. So I've released four of the songs that are on the album. So Red Wine, White Lies, House Fire, Mind Your Own Backyard, Doggone. If you've heard those are
Mhm.
all going to be on the project. But this is the final release, so this will be the release where it's finally fully available on digital platforms. So that'll include those four songs plus three new ones that you haven't heard. Yeah, and I'm so excited. It's coming out March 28th. And then we're doing
Okay.
a release party here in Nashville on the 27th, the night before.
That's right. Where's the release party?
Yeah, it's at the Five Spot, which is in East Nashville. It's a Thursday night. It's like 6 to 8, so it's like early evening.
Yeah.
Tried to do it early enough that people who are playing shows, other musicians, and also people who have jobs can come out and not miss it. So it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I don't know that I can make it since it's on a Thursday, but the Five Spot is at least it used to be a very eclectic place. It's probably been 15 years or so since I've been there. Is it still, I know it's grown as a music venue. Is it still pretty hip to the
Yeah,
scene?
yeah. It's kind of got like a kind of has that like alternative Nashville vibe to it, kind of that hipster-esque thing going on.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool stage. They do video there. So it'll be a fun spot. I've only seen a few shows there, but it's kind of that cool mix um of like also locals. Like it does invite a lot of tourists as well, but it's still
Hmm.
kind of got this like local down home feel.
Yeah, it used to be like the secret spot back in the day.
Hmm.
So these new songs you have coming out, are they more country, more trop rock? Are they split in the middle? What should we expect out of these songs?
They are not trap rock at all. They are, I would say country slash country folk rock. Um, so kind of a blended sound. Jesus in Jail is the first one that's not been released. It's definitely like kind of got that whole like a lot of harmonies. We kind of leaned into the like churchy feel.
Mhm,
So this kind of like southern rock, churchy country vibe. Kind of think like My Church, Maren Morris, that vibe,
mhm,
but maybe a little bit more rocky. And then Let It Fade definitely has kind of like um, almost like maybe like a Joan Baez
mm,
version of country. Like it's folky and
yeah.
country, but it's just sad and pretty. And then the last one, Pretty Poison. I don't know what it is. It's kind of just weird. That was my track that I was like, you know what? I don't know what genre this is, and I typically am very country, but with that one, I was like, you know what? I just want to throw something funky on there, and it's not like my lyrically most like strongest song, but it was one of the songs that I was like, I can do some cool production things with this. So,
Right, right.
yeah, it's got pretty much like every instrument you can think of. There's fiddle, there's steel guitar, but there's also like trumpet.
Oh, awesome. I know I was listening back to some of your songs that your last release, "Doggone," that's on
Mhm,
the album also?
mhm,
That song has a really bluesy flair to it, and especially your vocals, you brought a bluesy
mhm.
flavor to the song. Are you inspired by the blues at all?
Yes, yes. I was never like a big like just blues person. I always liked the blues, but what I have really enjoyed is that mix of like bluesy country, kind of the Chris Stapleton vibes or the Air Church, Ashley McBride's, some of that. Obviously, I love like Stevie Ray Vaughan and some other of the blues classics, but I've kind of always leaned more to that country blues mix versus just straight blues. Um, but yeah, it was fun, and I don't know. I somehow, even though I listened to like country my entire life, somehow got some sort of a bluesy thing in my voice, so I just decided to lean into it.
Yeah, yeah. I also noticed that you posted the other day. I guess you co-wrote a song with, or I'm not sure. I was asking you a song for Taylor Hughes called "Old Fashioned You." You
Yes.
want to tell us about that song?
Yeah, so me and Taylor wrote that one together. She came to me and she said, I want to write a song comparing guys we've dated to different types of alcohol or different types of mixed drinks or cocktails. And I was like, yeah, we got this. We didn't really know what it was going to be called. We just kind of started free writing and just
Hmm.
tried to see where it went, but naturally it kind of came back to old fashions because that's her favorite drink, and she's a Kentucky gal. She loves bourbon. So as soon as we wrote the song, we kind of knew it was for her, and she'd been playing it out. I played that one out as well, but I was super excited when she said she was gonna cut that one. So that one released, I think, last Friday or Friday before.
Yeah, she did a
I
good
don't know what
job
day
on
it
it.
is.
She she has a very unique voice for
She
sure.
does. She does. She definitely has like a thick, rich, like kind of a low alto voice, but it's such a cool. Nobody sings like that. So
Right. So that's a good segue into my next question, as far as songwriting goes, because I like to talk about songwriting on this show.
yeah.
Um, what you said you really didn't have a title for it, you just had an idea and you started writing. So, what is if you had to describe your songwriting process, is it something you work on every day, or do you tend to wait and do better when inspiration, strikes, strike while the iron's hot kind of thing?
It's kind of a mix of both. Trying to at least like put things down, even if it's just ideas or random lyrics on a daily basis is kind of nice. But I also like to co-write a lot because I tend to overthink things, and so sometimes co-writing helps me to like focus and pin it down.
Hmm.
Just as an independent artist, you're always wearing so many hats. You're
Hmm.
booking, you're writing, you're playing, you're promoting, you're doing all the things. And so sometimes I while I do love writing, I can get distracted kind of by the to-do list. So
Right.
co-writes are a good way for me to be like, okay, no, this is the time slot that I am focusing on being creative. Um, so yeah, so I haven't been writing quite as much recently, just because I've been trying to book for the year and roll out this album. Also been trying to like go through old songs. I don't know if you're like this, but I just have like stockpiles of songs that either I never played or never learned or maybe didn't finish and they were so close to being done. And so I've kind of been in a cleanup process. And then I'm gonna, pedal to the metal, get back into it. But kind of always writing, you never truly take a break from that.
Right. Yeah, I have old songs. I do the same thing. I pull them out and I go, is this worth pursuing, or does this need to be rewritten? Or I've had songs that I've rewritten 6 or 7 times and finally come out with something,
Hmm.
great. And when I first started writing music, I didn't really want to rewrite a song. Once I started it and started writing, I was like, that's my precious baby, and I don't want to edit anything. But it didn't take me long to figure out that wouldn't work. So,
Yep.
uh,
Gotta edit. Always editing. And a lot of
yeah,
times, like I said, with me overthinking, sometimes I'll write like two different versions of the song because I'll think of one idea and I'm like, well, I could take it this way or I could take it this way. And then I can't decide. So I wind up just like writing both, which, if anything, I guess is just a good writing exercise. But
right. And I noticed your song, still doing well on the Trop Rock charts. Me, Myself, and Islands
yay.
is still going. So,
Love it.
congratulations on that. You want to tell us
Thank
about that
you.
song, and what was the inspiration behind that song?
Yeah, I wrote that one with a guy named Greasy Joe or Joe Seaberger, and I met him in my very first meeting in the mines at it was in Key West, actually, the last one in Key West. That was my first meeting of the minds. We met and we just really got along. So we stayed in touch and we've just done a few co-writes over Zoom. Um, and that one was interesting because he had a different songwriting process than I did. I tend to be kind of like lyrics first or at the same time as the music, and he kind
Mhm.
of tends to like almost go ahead and have the chord structure,
Mm,
which was different for me. But like sometimes you just roll with it, and if it's working you just go with it, and sometimes like trying a different style of writing can make it turn out cool. So that's kind of what we did. We came up with I think I had the hook, me, myself, and islands, and kind of just had that idea, and he came up with the chord structure, and we worked together on the lyrics and the melody, and it was just a lot of fun, and we liked it so much that he decided to demo it, and um he sent it to me from where he was, and then I did the vocals, sent it back, he mixed it and mastered it, and I just liked it a lot. And I had not released a trop rock song yet, and since we've been involved in this community, I figured it was a good time to give them a little something in that regard.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you did it. It was a good job. I really like that song, and it seems to be doing well for you. Um, what talking about playing out and gigging, you said you were setting up the year for your
I'm
gigs and
so
stuff.
sorry, Jason. You are breaking up there.
Am I really? Still?
You're frozen. Oh, there
Hmm.
you are. Okay.
All right.
You were having like a T-pain moment
No.
and I couldn't hear
Sorry.
you.
Uh, so talking about booking for the year and getting your gigs all set up. I saw you played something called Rumba on the Lumba.
Yes.
What is that?
That was just a small town, like 2-day festival in Lumberton, North Carolina. So that was just kind of their town's festival. They had food trucks and little rides and concerts all day for 2 days and a chili cook-off. And yeah, so I played that with a full band last week in North Carolina, which was fun. So I'm originally from North Carolina, so I went back
Okay.
and met up with the guys there, and we piled in my minivan. We fit four of us and a drum set and amps and guitars all in my minivan Priscilla, and we loaded up and drove 3 hours there, and it was a great time. I had a lot of fun.
So you have a name for your minivan?
Priscilla, yes.
Crystal. All right. So talking about touring, I saw that you and Kirsty Krause tour a lot and do a lot of shows together, and
We
y'all just did
do.
a Florida tour. Uh,
Hmm.
so is there anywhere better to tour than Florida? Tell us about that experience of about being on the road together and doing those shows as 4K.
Oh yeah, gosh. Well, Kirsty's great, and we just kind of clicked from the get go, um, and it's just a lot of fun. Like we just have so much fun on the road, so many laughs. We get into a lot of adventures and messes, um, and it's just a good time. We have a good banter on stage, which is always fun, and so we've been doing this together for gosh, like think since 2021, so like going on like 2022, I think, going on like 3.5 years.
Mhm.
Um, and we don't always play together. We're separate artists, but sometimes it's just nice to have a buddy on the road, just to take turns driving and to make
Right,
sure we have each other's backs, and it helps take off the pressure of us vocally as well.
right.
And so we've been doing that a while, and Florida has always been great. Kirsty started touring down there, and luckily just picked me up after she ditched the last boyfriend, and we yeah, and it just went well. Her aunt lives down there, and we've just sort of built up like a family of folks there. But we've also done, she's taken me to Wisconsin, to her home state, with her a few times. I took her once to North Carolina with me, and then we also went to Virginia, and then last year we went to Texas together.
Been all over.
Yes.
Tell me about that wasn't a very good, transition, was it? Tell me about your early influences as far as music and songwriting. Like, who really did it for you when you were young and you went, "I gotta have me
Yeah.
some of that."
So Alan Jackson was like the big one growing up. Loved his like just like honky tonk sound, his songwriting. He could do the like funny, quirky stuff, but he could also write really beautiful and meaningful songs like
Mm,
Drive and Remember When, Where Were You, The World Stopped Turning, all of those. Um, and so he was a big one. Also, of course, I was a girl in the '90s, so Shania Twain,
mm,
the Dixie Chicks,
right.
and a little later on, really loved. I mean, I was a fan of hers as a kid, but later on became a bigger fan. But like Leanne Womack, um, and then
Love Leanne
later,
Womack.
oh
Her
my gosh,
voice, man, her voice is top notch.
and just that cool combination between like country, but also maybe like bluegrassy,
Mhm.
but also a little like folk. She just has like such an eclectic sound, and I really enjoyed that. Later years loved like Ashley McBride, Eric Church, Chris Stapleton, some of those guys. But yeah, always loved the '90s country. It was funny, we were listening, somebody played like a couple tracks on in their car of the Mindy McCready album. I don't know if you
Oh
remember
yeah,
her.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and I was singing it and I was like, yeah, I like wore this album out as a kid. And I never really thought of her as like a big influence, but I think it was Kirsty who was in the car and she goes, you know, you never list her as a big influence. And I never really considered her one, but Kirsty was like, this, like I hear her in your music. And so
Yeah.
that was kind of a cool moment of people that you didn't realize seeped into your just your sound.
Right, right. What did you start playing music early on? Like when did you start playing guitar and how did you, get into playing music?
Yeah, so well singing was kind of always a thing. I would always like bounce around on my bed and sing, and I mean I wanted to be a country singer since before I remember. That's kind of what I always said I wanted to be. And my mom had a little toy guitar that had like two strings on it and I would play around with it. And I think middle school and I think at that point I was even like writing some lyrics, but maybe middle school I got or late elementary, early middle school got my first guitar, eventually started taking lessons. And then I didn't write like my first like formal song with like chords and lyrics and everything until high school. um, I had a guitar teacher, Tony Altora, who um, kind of really turned me on to that side of things. Like I wanted to write, and he kind of was the one who ran with that and showed me how to structure chords and pick chords for songs and how to go
Right.
about that.
Did you come from a musical family?
No,
No.
not at all. The only thing, like everybody was probably in band. I think like all my cousins and me, we all did band, but other than that, nobody like sang or played guitar or anything.
Right. So if you had to pick, and I know this is gonna be a difficult question. If you had to pick, and I know it's hard to pick one, so I'm gonna say three.
Okay.
Pick three people. Who are your songwriting heroes?
Mm. Say Willie Nelson.
Ooh, all right.
Um, oh gosh, it's so hard. So hard.
I know it is.
I'm thinking about writing versus um I always liked oh man. I'll have to say Alan Jackson too. He actually, especially during that
Yeah.
he did write a lot of his songs, and at a time that a lot of artists weren't writing their own songs.
Right.
Um, so I think that's cool, and I don't think that's something I realized or appreciated till later. Um, let's go with those two. Oh, we'll
Go.
say like Loretta Lynn.
So
And I
you got
think
to have a female in there, don't you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh gosh, and she didn't write a lot of her songs, but Reba was definitely a big influence too. Going backtracking, yeah. And Loretta probably wasn't like a big influence growing up, but I think later on I realized that a lot of my songs have that similar quirkiness and
Mm-hmm.
style as hers.
Mm.
So,
She definitely had some humor, in some of her songs for sure.
mhm.
What, uh, what, what? Here's another hard question, and sorry for the hard
No,
question,
it's
but
okay. It's okay. I need to have already thought of better answers for these because I'm going to get off this podcast and be like, I
I should have
forgot
said
this person, and
right. For me, it is Radney Foster, Terry
oh
McBride,
yeah.
Steve Wariner, and then Jimmy Buffett.
Hmm.
Those and probably Jackson Brown. Those are
Hmm.
those are my top picks. But my next question, if you're going to say an idea strikes you and or you just want to pick up a guitar and play something for fun, what's your favorite guitar?
Oh, I mean, I have like my go-to as my Taylor. It's a 314 CE. It's nothing too fancy, but it was like my first full-size guitar, and I'm still playing it. So.
So you've had it for a while, you've kind of
Mhm.
create do I know some guys or some writers, some singers develop like an emotional attachment to their instrument that they've had for a long time, or that they feel is a special, you have a special bond with a certain instrument. Do you find that with any of yours?
I mean, my Taylor's my baby, but I think like ultimately for me, um, they're they're kind of their tool. It's kind of like a car. It's a tool to get done what I need to get done, and I do love it. And I would be like so upset if something happened to it. But as far as like it's not like something that's been passed down from generation to generation or a special person. Um, so I think for me, it's ultimately like a tool in order for me to get my songs out there. So
Right. Right. Okay. I'll give you that.
sorry, that sounds so heartless.
Think about that more next time you pick up your guitar. Uh, um, so we can't talk to Krystal King, can't talk to you without mentioning that you are a DJ on Radio Margaritaville, and you do a mighty fine job, I must say.
Thank you.
So, is that something you wanted to do from an early age, be a DJ, or is that something that came about later? You want to tell us about how you kind of got into that?
Yeah, I mean, I always listened to the DJs on country radio, like Paul Shad and Sarah on 96.9 was always the station I listened to, and I always thought that was fun, but it was never something I thought about doing per se. Um, but it kind of was a natural transition, I think, because it was so tied into music and being an entertainer and being on stage and talking and being in front of people. So the radio thing first started in college. I was studying music therapy is what I wound up studying, but for a little bit there, I was thinking about going into um, like broadcast and it was a communications major that was focused on like TV and radio and I didn't do that, but I did do the class to be a DJ on the student radio station.
Mhm.
So I took that class and I worked for the station. It was very well run. Like they ran it like a professional radio station. We actually got a brand new building while I was part of it, and I did my two regular like alternative rock shows that were the format of the station, and then I did a country specialty show once a week, and I also did sales for was on staff and did sales for the radio station, and then later did some internships with uh, Performance Racing Network out of Charlotte, the NASCAR broadcast channel, and Cumulus Radio in Nashville. So I kind of dabbled in it a little after college, and when I moved to Nashville, I worked for a tiny AM station, like just running the board for basketball broadcast.
Okay.
Um, and then I kind of fell out of it for a while. I wanted an opportunity to get back into it, but it just wasn't happening, and music was my forefront. But Radio Margaritaville just sort of fell into place. I met JD, the other
Mhm.
JD Spradlin, the DJ, at I think I met him in Key West, and then I met him a second time at Whiskey Joe's at Music on the Bay. We walked over, and he was at the patio hanging out with John Frenzy, who was playing over there.
Mhm.
And I just happened to be like, "Hey, what's the deal with the studio in Nashville? I never see anybody in it. If you ever need anybody, I have some radio experience." And I just like threw it out there. Didn't think twice, didn't think he would even like respond to that. And next thing I know, he was like, actually, and um, kind of got the ball rolling. And he brought me in as a fruitcake on the radio. And once I did that, he was like, okay, but let me talk to the program director, and it kind of came about that way. But it's been a perfect situation for me, and a great way to build fans and connect with the trop rock community. And I mean, like I said, I wanted to get back into it anyways, so it worked out.
You gotta shoot your shot when the opportunity comes
You
up.
do.
I like to say
You do.
I like to say that if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So don't be afraid to
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah. And it's always that fine line of like, you want to build relationships, so you don't want to be too forward, but
Yeah.
also at the same time, like sometimes you just gotta throw it out there and see what happens. And that was exactly what happened then. And honestly, when I said it, like it wasn't even me like shooting my shot. I was just kind of like spitballing, not even thinking about it being a possibility. And it worked out, and I love it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes you're standoffish, just be cool, don't say anything. Just wanna like I wanna foster this relationship, but I don't want to come on too strong and say, "Hey, do this for me." It's a fine line, like you said. But you know
Hmm.
what? I
Yes.
forgot. I forgot to ask you the question. Krystal King, do you believe that aliens will invade Earth?
Hmm.
Awkward silence.
Probably one of these days.
I
I
had
don't
to
know.
look.
I think that like some form of life in space exists. So I do, obviously we've kind of, though, was it the Pentagon released kind of some evidence of other um life forms. My brain just shut
Right.
off.
Get all these
What is the
orbs
term?
flying around and non-human
Yeah.
intelligence.
Yeah. So I think that's out there. I'm kind of the idea of like, let's just leave it be, because none of the movies with aliens turn out well, but they
Right.
that's my take.
All right, Krystal, do you have any shows coming up or tour dates that you want to get out there and publicize? Tell everybody what you got going on real quick.
Well, first, again, next big one is the album release show, the 27th in Nashville, 6 to 8 on the 5 spot. And then in April, I've got a few things. I'm playing Whiskey Thief. They have a location in Louisville and Frankfort, Kentucky. So I'm going there. I'm playing a festival called Charlotte Shout in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then I'll be at Rendezvous in Panama City with the Panama City Parrot Head Club. So.
All right, awesome, awesome, Krystal. Thank you for joining me, and y'all, everybody, go follow Krystal King and buy her music and request it, and support her in any way you can. And look out for her new album, Pretty Poison, like you said, coming out soon. So go check it out. Thank you, Krystal. We're going to wrap this one up. Thank y'all for watching and
Thank you.
listening to Music City Trop Rock.